So when we started, your concept was you went back,
Right.
and then you tried to pull with your shoulders, and you pulled this all the way through, and then clear up here, and then all the way someplace up here, this did this.
Right.
Okay. The biggest thing for you to get out of this whole deal starts with the individual hand drills where we start to figure out where the club pivots. So if you were going to take it down to one thing, it's how this club pivots here. And so all you're doing is you're directing the momentum of the club head, and then your wrist just kind of, it just lets the club head go, and your wrist kind of just, what you would call flips. So you're directing the momentum of the club head out in front of your hand, and then you just let the weight of the club go and it'll hinge back up. So when you showed up, you had this concept. You would get here, and you would drag this all the way through to here, and that would what's made your left arm go this way, and then waist play over here, then this would do that. Well, that little lever system is where most of your speed is. Okay, so now if you put it in your left hand, you got to learn to be able to stand here and have this thing pivot, because what your swing is going to feel like is this same thing. The only difference is our body moves, so now the pivot happens up off your left. There you go. There's your golf swing. Now put your right hand on the club, but don't just let it go along for the ride, and do the same thing. There's your golf swing. So now for you, the next biggest thing was what happens with these hips. When we started, this hip would move right straight up into the ball this way. Okay, so now we're going, okay, as you come down, you're going to push into the ground away from the ball. So they're still turning, but they're not moving up into the ball. You feel the difference?
Yes.
So now we've got this lever system going, and now if your hips stay back, and when they stay back, it accelerates the club and you don't get in its way, you're going to create so much more speed than you had before with virtually no tension or effort. First, don't worry about the hips. Let's give it just the pivoting action. Good. Yeah. So all this is it's about the pivoting of that club, and it's pivoting off your right, feels like it's pivoting off your right leg. Good. Awesome. So the first thing is, what is this pivot? Okay, this little thing.
Right.
The second thing is your body, where it used to come up into the ball, now you're using your body, but it's more, you feel like you're pushing away from the ball rather than moving into it, okay? The other thing we worked on technically in your backswing is we have to make sure that when you take the club away, as the club swings back, it feels like the handle goes down and the club head feels like it goes up. Where you tend to get in a little trouble sometimes is the club gets around you, and then when you start down, it's pushing the club out away from you, and that's when you start hitting to the right or hitting the hosel.
Okay.
So the only thing we really worked on in your backswing is you got to feel like the club head stays outside your hands like that, and then it breaks over your hands this way. You never feel like the club head on your backswing gets to the right of your hands.
Okay.
It always feels like it's in front of your hands or to this side of your hands.
Wow.
So now we're just doing backswing. So hands in, club head stays out. See, that's perfect, Monica. In fact, that time you did everything.
Okay.
Now, what you're going to feel like when you do this right initially, this is what you're going to struggle with. You're going to get here, and it's going to feel like you don't do anything with your body as far as give it force. You're going to feel like you get right here, and you're just going to feel like you wave at it with your arms, and you're going, that can't possibly be right. Yeah, it is. Your body's still moving, but now your body's moving in sync with what you're doing with the club, so it takes less effort to create more speed. Effort equates into distance.
Okay.
Usually effort equates into tension, which actually puts the brakes on.
Right.
So if you start making swings where you feel like your shoulders tighten or you feel your hips tighten, there's a really good chance it's not right. That was spectacular. Now, I'm going to show you a thing with this tennis racket. Here's what really happens. So if I took this tennis racket and I aimed the racket at the ball, and I went back, and then my wrist hinged, and I'm up here. So here's this could be a steering wheel or whatever you want to call it. Now the club is over there, right? So the pivot is actually, when I'm looking at the ball, when I come down, my left arm rotates down in here, and that handle of the racket starts to tip out into an arc that's going to run into the ball. So that's the feeling, that's the pivoting feeling I have. we've seen golf look like this, and so we've tried to do this, which has caused us to have to do that to catch it up, or it's caused us to have to go, ooh, to try to spin our bodies to catch the face up. The reality is you feel like you're doing this because the weight of the club wants to go that way. You feel like you're twisting it this way. Those two offsetting forces get it right where we've always wanted it. Okay, so this is the pivoting action. Like, it has nothing to do with unhinging of your wrists. Unhinging of your wrists, you can't stop it. Once you direct the momentum of that club head into this arc, the weight of the club is going to straighten your wrists out. You don't even have to try to. It's that move right there. Okay. So you're up here, and when you start down, you just go, vroom, and it's over. Okay. Swings over, swings over. If you go this way, we're in trouble, which is where you lived when we started. Right. Now, if I said make a left-hand turn, you wouldn't do anything with your shoulders. You just turn the wheel. Right. Okay? Right. There's your backswing. The minute you start down, you're just turning the wheel back to here. Right. So here's how your golf swing works, just like that. Okay. It's not, you don't, this is not done with your shoulders, see? So you go back here, and what do? You just turn the wheel. Right. So I'm gonna make me a practice swing where I want you to feel like you go up to the top, handle comes down, and the club tips out, the heel tips out. Yeah. Just let it go. There you go. When you start down, the handle comes down and the heel of the club goes out. Handle down, heel out. Don't care where the ball goes. Now, when you did that and it went left on you, well, not so much the shoulders. You didn't work the heel out. When you worked the club, the handle came down, but when the club went out, instead of the heel going out, you worked the toe out. So what did your wrist just do? Right, so your wrists don't unhinge. They just work the heel of the club. Handle down, heel out. Handle down, club head out. Handle down, club head out. You don't have to do anything with your wrists. Your wrists will unhinge automatically. Just handle down, club head out, and just let it go. They'll unhinge. There you go. Monica, that's so good.
That felt awesome.
Now, all we can hope to do is what you just did there, and in a couple of months from now, if you keep going, that's going to be what your swing feels like every time. Now, what's really good now is if you, it's like, oh my God, it's so easy. Now that there's triggers, like I was telling Bruce, so when you feel, okay, I'm a little this way, so you say, all right, when you get through playing, now you maybe when you're out there and you're making your practice swings and you get up, it's just you could feel yourself pulling a little all day. Fine, you just play with it. When you get through, you come out here and you say, okay, all you have to do is make a couple of swings, hands in, club head out, and then as soon as you go, oh, there it is. You don't have to stand here and hit 50,000 balls.
Okay, great.
Because as soon as you now your brain knows the task, you just kind of lost the feel for it. So once you get the feel for it again, you're almost better off to just say, okay, that's enough. And you said, you know, I think I have the potential to breathe. Yeah, you do, because you have a good short game. Right. Yeah. You're a good bunker player, you chip it good, you pitch it good, you putt the ball well. So if we just get you a little more consistent with your full swing and get you just a few more yards of distance, now, from the tees you guys play from, certainly scratches a possibility.
I think so too. I mean, thank you. I really appreciate it.
No, you've been awesome.